Agencies Drinking Beer is brought to you by Proposify, software that helps agencies streamline their proposals in the cloud and get faster sign-off.
Welcome to Agencies Drinking Beer, a podcast where we interview an agency owner, learn valuable lessons, and get a buzz on. On today's episode, we're going to interview Justin Christianson from Austin, Texas. He's going to teach us about marketing and conversion for startups. So today's episode, Kevin and I, for various reasons, decided to do the podcast at the Halifax Central Library. And my youngest, Ty, is around the corner playing with some toys, playing with the iPad, and we're just here slamming out this podcast.
Yes, this is the Library Family Edition.
Yes, though. Thank you for joining us. Might need to turn up your volume because we gotta keep our voices down.
Yes. Lots of people reading around us.
So, Kevin, you've been having insomnia acting up again.
Yeah, about twice a year I get it for about 3-4 days where I really don't sleep. But I'm used to it now. My body's used to it, so I'm all right.
Are you delirious yet?
I'm always delirious. You know that, Kyle.
Okay. Well, a little more than normal?
Yes, absolutely. Lots more coffee in the budget.
It's good. So you were, how do we get on this subject about, you were talking about something freaking you out, that you said normally things don't freak you out, but this animated gif of Gary Busey ringing a bell really blew your mind, and that might be attributed to the insomnia, right?
Maybe subconsciously Gary Busey's face morphing into a monster. Maybe that's my problem. It could be.
See, I feel like I saw that gif, but I didn't see the monster part, so I think you actually are hallucinating.
No, you should check it out again.
Oh, you sure about this?
Yes.
So with that started getting me thinking about Micah last night. My 7-year-old came to me. He couldn't sleep. He said, "Oh, can I sleep in your bed?" I was like, "Oh, come on, you're a big guy. Sleep in your own bed. Why can't you?" And he looked his head hanging low and shoulders slumped. He just looked sort of embarrassed, and I was like, "Why can't you sleep? Tell me what's going on, buddy. What's going through your head?" And he's like, I don't know. Like, come on, tell me what's wrong. I said, "What are you thinking about that's making you scared?" And he said, "I'm just thinking about if my toys came alive." And I was like, isn't that what every kid wants?
Did he just watch Toy Story, maybe?
No, he didn't. And I said, that's the example I used. I said, like, if Woody and Buzz came to life, that would be amazing. How would that freak you out?
Buzz! Go away, you disgusting freak! Ah!
He said, it's not that. It's I've got toys that are bad guys, like Electro.
That would be scary.
But he also has Spider-Man.
This is my gift. My curse.
So technically, if the toys came to life, Spider-Man would just battle Electro. He wouldn't have to worry about it.
But the one toy that would prevail if he has one of these would be a clown coming alive. That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, what parent in their right mind buys their child a clown doll? That's irresponsible.
Yes, it is. And what was that, Stephen? Was it It?
I think you're mixing up It and Child's Play. Child's Play is where a doll comes to life.
Yes, but It was a clown. That was scary, too.
That was...
But he was already alive. He was a dude. It was just freaky.
He was just a dude. Wow, he was kind of a bizarre demonic creature who just, turned into a clown. That was one of his forms. But he was also a spider. A giant spider.
Okay. Anyways.
All right, this conversation is really starting to freak Kevin out. He's getting a little nervous, so let's move on to the top 3 posts of the week. I don't know why I expected in my mind there was going to be a musical interlude. That's kind of what I thought. Yeah. So the posts, we'll talk, there's kind of a common theme in the post today. A lot of it is about power. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Psychologists say power does 4 crazy things to your mind. And they use the example of Frank Underwood from House of Cards, played by Kevin Spacey, as kind of an example. But if you haven't watched that show, it's great show. He's a power-hungry U.S. politician. But interesting points here. So it talks about 4 crazy things that power does to your mind. So one is that it makes you more inspired by yourself than anyone else. So like, people who are powerful they don't expect others to fulfill their needs for inspiration, right? It's like a little child for whom no one in the playground's up to scratch, so they become their own best friend. Have you seen that in the business world?
Absolutely.
Let's hear some examples.
No, we don't get in trouble.
If you feel powerful, you're the first to act. So if you're, in a certain social situation or there's some sort of crisis, powerful people tend to be the first one to lead and
on the
other
front
people
lines,
follow.
man.
Yeah. So, another thing was that if you're powerful, you're more likely to cheat on your spouse.
Wow.
And that's not just a gender thing. It's actually in a 2011 study by Tilburg University, they found that powerful people are more likely to cheat, and that even goes for women. It's just we tend to see more men do it, unfortunately, because the reality in our day and age that the powerful positions tend to be men, right? But where women are in powerful positions, they tend to do the same. If you feel powerful, you feel distant from other people. And the thought behind this is that people who are powerful... So it talks about people who are close to one another are usually symmetrically dependent, right? Which is the reason why you're more likely to be friends with your coworker than your boss. That's just the way it works in most offices, right? Because you don't feel like one's above the other. So when people are in positions of power, they tend to be more isolated because other people, they've put more focus on results than building relationships.
Trying to climb the ladder.
Exactly.
Claw over anybody they have to.
Yeah. Makes you think about, is power that really great a thing? So the other, I'm only going to do 2 this time because one's a little too similar, but I'll put a link to it in the show notes, and it's about what top influencers, what they do different on social media to get their big followings. So I'm going to post a link to that. Now this one I thought was really good. So this was on Inc.com, and the headline is, "This entrepreneur raised $70 million by ignoring some popular startup advice." So this is written by Ben Baldwin and Donald Coper, Inc.com. So just a little background. I'm going to kind of paraphrase the story, but it's definitely worth a read. So in 2007, an entrepreneur named Alan Lau, and he had a business partner named Ivan Ewan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing those names correctly. I have issues with names. So they created a company called Wattpad.
Repeat that?
Wattpad?
What?
Wattpad? What? Yeah, I think it's Wattpad. Wattpad.
Okay.
And it was struggling. So they met up at a coffee shop in Toronto, and they bought a coffee, and that was their entire revenue from last month was spent on this coffee. So things weren't going too well for them. And their startup was, essentially it was like an online community where people would share their writing, their stories, their poems, fan fiction, novels, that kind of thing. And they really believed in it. YouTube had just sold to Google for over $1 billion, and they thought, that this was going to be a place where writers and readers would find each other and interact. So it's kind of cool because they sat down and, what do you think if you went out and talked to most investors or startup people? What would they say to do in any startup is focus, double down, focus on whatever you're doing, and eventually be successful. I mean, we took that advice because we were spread very thin with our product, and it wasn't until we really focused on it that we started seeing results. So, but what they realized was that this was like pre-iPhone, And their whole vision for this product was people would be sharing stories on their mobile device before there was actually an iPhone. So they ended up doing the opposite of what most people do, and they said, if we just keep doing this and not seeing anything, we're going to burn out. We're not going to have, not be able to feed our families and that kind of thing. So they actually took jobs, they did consulting, they did other things. They just kind of tinkered on it on the side. And what they did was they waited till the market was ready. And where are they now? Well, they ended up being able to raise $600,000 after growing from like a few hundred users to 1 million monthly users. And then they would raise $3.5 million in 2011, and then they just raised another $46 million. So that the total close of what they had raised was $70 million, and this took, well, what would have that been? Almost 8 years, 7-8 years. And they've got 35 million monthly users, 100,000 uploads a day. They're cranking. So I guess the advice from Lau to other entrepreneurs was that just because you hear certain types of advice out there doesn't mean you always need to follow it. You kind of have to sometimes ignore good advice and go with what's right in your unique position. Yeah, I mean, they kind of waited till the market was ready, and it paid off. And sometimes, we've talked about this before on the show, that it's people always worry about being late to market, but usually it's the opposite. It's amazing how sometimes you need to wait for the market to mature to actually come in, and it's the people who come later and do it right are often the ones who win, not the ones who were first.
Well, sometimes the first ones are the guinea pigs. They're testing the market for you. Let them do all that.
Yeah.
And then you can swoop in and do it right or do it better.
That's kind of what Apple did too with like the iPod. They weren't the first iPod, but they made it cool and sexy. Yep. They were later with the iPad. Microsoft was working on tablets for years, but they came in and did it right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good one.
So anyway, let's jump in now to our interview with Justin Christianson. I'd like to welcome Justin Christianson on the show. Justin runs a company called Conversion Fanatics based out of Austin, Texas. Thanks for being on the show, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So maybe just to start out, tell me a little bit about your background. So, kind of how did you get started in this industry, and how did Conversion Fanatics come about?
Well, I actually got started back in about 2002 and failed my way through affiliate marketing and various things, and then grew up a information publishing company into multiple 7 figures and sold it in 2009, and then found a need for companies to basically maximize their advertising. And I got a lot of requests on a personal basis for help with implementation and different strategies. And then about 1.5 years ago, one of my longtime friends and I were both doing about the same thing, helping private clients, and we decided to systematize it and really push out all of our knowledge from the past 18 plus years combined experience that we have.
Cool. And so now, how big are you guys right now in terms of size?
We've got about 10 employees now.
Cool.
Total. Revenue varies, but we're still growing it up, and just constantly trying to be better daily.
Yeah. And so, do you guys sell to a particular type of company, or pretty much anybody who needs your help from the marketing side?
Well, we used to be kind of anybody and everybody, but recently, probably the last 6 months or so, we've really focused down on more software as a service, as well as subscription-based companies. So companies that they tend to understand their lifetime value a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And those spending over $5,000 a month in advertising. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I would think, knowing we're a SaaS company and, we do mostly our own marketing, we have a few consultants we work with, but it's it's an easier kind of company to do marketing for because everything's measurable. You can find out how much it costs you to bring a customer in, and like you said, the lifetime value, you can actually measure that. So I can totally see why you would go that way. Whereas, we've in the past done marketing for companies where they didn't know kind of what their point of conversion was, or, it was really hard to measure those. So it's definitely a good road to go down.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I have conversations weekly with people. I ask them, what's your cost per acquisition? And they're like, I have no idea. What's your customer value? I have no idea. And it just kind of boggles my mind, even into companies that are spending millions of dollars in advertising a year. A lot of them don't even pay attention to their conversion rate. They just throw money and see what sticks.
That's kind of shocking to me that, especially a SaaS company, which are traditionally very, data driven, focused on metrics, they don't, some of them don't know their acquisition cost or their lifetime value.
No, it's actually pretty surprising. And I even talked to a company not too long ago that was spending $35 million a year on advertising, and they just knew their basic opt-in percentage, and they really didn't know what their value of their customer was. And I was like, how can you guys be spending that much money and not know? I mean, they have to be bleeding all over the place.
Do you find that you have to kind of show them how to calculate that stuff, walk them through it?
Yeah, that's part of some of our service is, to really get down to those fine-tuned numbers. And then, obviously that helps in the sales process too, as an agency, is to justify their investment in our services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about a company that we had on the show quite a few episodes back called Onboardly, and they focus on selling to funded startups, a lot of SaaS companies, but they do mostly PR and content marketing. They don't touch like conversion optimization or paid ad spends or that sort of thing. So it's kind of interesting to see how both your agencies kind of sell to that audience, but offer complementary, services that kind of go together. And one thing that I thought was really cool when I was looking at your website was that I hate to say it, but there's so many agency websites you see that are they follow this template almost of showcasing their work on their homepage, and just kind of, I guess, like a fairly cliche look to them. It just screams of like agency template. But your guys, when I look at this website, it doesn't even jump out immediately that you guys are an agency, because it almost looks like it's a product. Is that intentional? What was kind of the thinking behind how you position yourself on the website?
Well, we've gone through a lot of different renditions of the site, and actually, I think one of your previous guests, Jason Swank, has been helping us as well.
Oh, cool.
Kind of fine-tune that, and he actually mentioned something. Both my business partner and I come from an info product background, so we're very direct response driven, and Jason threw out to us that says, agencies need to know what info product guys do, and then info product guys need to know what agencies do, but very few know both. So we've been very fortunate to know the info side of it inside and out, so we kind of led with that. It's very tough to get somebody to say yes, off an initial cold approach, to a larger ticket engagement. So we've been very driven by the info side. So yeah, I would say that's mostly intentional.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Like, cause you so often you see on agency sites, like our services, our philosophy, our methodology, our work, and you guys are like benefits, testimonials. And I notice also like the big call to action isn't, get in touch for a consultation. It's, check out a webinar, download this video. It's, I think it was Jason talking about that a few weeks ago, about how that's really helping. I don't know if it was you guys or another agency he referenced, that like getting people on a webinar and closing them is so much more effective than just saying like, hey, get in touch for a consultation.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is most people don't know that they have problems. And in a lot of cases, they just are kind of have their blinders on, and they're doing what they need to do daily, and they're so deep into their business that they forget they need to work on their business. Mm-hmm. So educating and providing as much value into the marketplace as we possibly can is kind of what we stand for, I guess.
Now you say like a lot of people don't know they have a problem, but do you find that the leads that are coming to you guys are like, there's these SaaS companies that are going, hey, we're bleeding money in advertising, we're not getting results, or I don't know, do they come to you for maybe another reason and you've got to kind of show them where they're falling short?
Yeah, I would say it's probably about 50-50. I mean, if they come to us and they already know they have a problem, it's much easier for us to get started quickly and really plug those holes. They don't really know they have a problem, but they know they need some help in certain areas, and they need help uncovering the problem. It's a little longer process to kind of dive in and figure out exactly how fast they're moving. Mm-hmm. And we do that through various analysis and audits of their current marketing efforts.
Yeah. So, it's kind of cool talking to you because, obviously we're a SaaS company. We used to run an agency, but now we just do the product business. And, marketing is kind of, it's a funny thing for us. Like we don't do a whole lot of paid stuff. We've started doing some AdWords, and I've played around a little bit in the past with like Twitter advertising and Facebook advertising, but haven't really seen huge results. The majority of our customers are coming from word of mouth and referrals and search, like organic search and all that kind of thing. So, maybe I'll milk a free consultation out of you on the air and ask you, what do you think from a paid spend? I guess what are a lot of SaaS companies like us that sell into the sort of small business SMB market? Where are you seeing some really good strategies or some really good tactics that are getting results for your clients?
Well, actually, a lot of content-driven stuff is working really well.
Yeah.
So you kind of start with an advertorial of sense.
So I was gonna say I hadn't heard the term advertorials for a while, or in a while, I should say.
Yeah, they kind of fell off for a little while, but now with all of the clickbait and kind of the content syndication thing, you've seen all this celebrity, check out what celebrity did what, type sites out there. And I've seen it work extremely well from paid advertising where you lead it in. I know they do it a lot in the supplement space as well, but there's a lot of different companies leveraging that, kind of hitting on the pain point with a short article, maybe leading to a blog post first, or, a specific landing page set up to look like an advertorial, not hiding it in any way and being shady, but just kind of leading with that on why they need what you have, and then lead them into the sales presentation.
Well, yeah, like traditionally the advertorials had been in, newspapers and, content publications, that sort of thing. Are you seeing people, are they actually starting to do that on news sites themselves, or is it more just like driving people to a landing page?
A little bit of both. I mean, we've seen some success with driving to even press releases. We have one client that got a big round of funding. And I know you and I talked about that on a previous call. But that only the news people really pay attention to what the next round of funding is. But this company happened a very high profile or higher profile CEO or former CEO of a company. And he started a new company and got a big round of funding. And we've got featured on CNN and all sorts of different sites. So we've been driving a lot of content traffic to their pages to generate leads, and it's actually been working really well. It's been driving up search for their company. So we've been picking them up on the back end through PPC and different AdWords. So it's really been really effective to kind of drive out that awareness of the company.
If you could clarify something, I'm just curious about this. So you said picking it up from the back end with PPC. So you're saying like these links on big established websites like CNN are obviously driving up their page rank and helping their organic search results. But how do you tie that in? How does that tie in with AdWords?
So what we're doing is we're actually using different networks like Outbrain and Taboola and Rev Content and such article syndication networks, kind of like that, where you pay per click for, your different ads, and we're actually advertising that CNN article. And then on the back end, we're actually running a AdWords campaign. So they're seeing this content and this buzz about this company, and then they're going out and searching for the company name, and we're actually picking up the key terms.
Ah, cool. I hadn't even heard of those different networks that you talked about, so we'll have to link to those in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's Outbrain and Taboola, Taboola.
Awesome.
And then another lower cost one is Rev Content.
Very cool. I know last time we talked, you were saying how you're starting to see really good results using Facebook and retargeting through Facebook. I know I've tried it out before for us, and I don't know, maybe I wasn't doing it right, or I'll have to give it another shot, but I just found the engagement was pretty low using Facebook, but apparently people are getting good results from it.
Yeah, I mean, even a year ago, and I even talk about this in my typical webinar presentation, is even a year ago, if you would have told me that I could get, qualified prospects on Facebook for, certain niches, I would have told you were nuts. But even now, more recently, since they've rolled out a lot of new targeting, it's much easier to find your target audience with them. And there's over 1 billion people on Facebook, so the chance of finding them. And then with retargeting, you're typically going after a low volume because they've already visited their page, depending on how much traffic you have. But a lot of people just say, oh, here's my site again, go back and do it. But with retargeting, if you can offer something to incentivize them to come back, and maybe it's an expiration offer or something like that, it's working extremely well to get them back, and CPAs have been extremely low. We're seeing leads and customers for one of our clients are even coming in at under $5 through retargeting.
Now, do you think, in your opinion, so using Facebook as a marketing channel, it's best to use it as a retargeting tool to get people back to your site? Any thoughts on using Facebook pages or having people like your page and using paid spend that way, or is that a waste of money?
We're actually running a lot of likes campaigns right now to kind of build up that audience. It really depends on the market, where it is, and you kind of got to bring awareness, and then you can target that specific audience, and then in some cases target the friends of your audience. So if you've got 10,000 likes on your page, you can actually target the friends of those likes. And depending on the market, it's working extremely well.
I should have gone in knowing this, but I remember there was a video done. I'm going to find the name where it was kind of do you know what I'm talking about? Where the guy's like showing that these campaigns where you're essentially buying likes, that they're more or less like automated, or they're using kind of, in a sense, spam to like it. So they're not really like high quality likes, people that are going to engage with the content. And I don't know if after this video came out, I'll find the name and link to it. I don't know if that maybe Facebook improved the way they do like campaigns and they make it so it's more authentic or something. Do you have any thoughts or info on that?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of, there's a black market for Facebook profiles. So there is a lot of junk out there, and it's just how you go. I mean, if you're going for these 1 cent likes and stuff like that, I mean, there's kind of a fine line there. But even with our own agency, we're finding a lot of quality people coming in. They're a little bit more expensive for the likes, but we're driving them, and they're actually real people. I've been checking to see if they're actual profiles and stuff, and we're seeing some good results and actually getting some conversions coming in from advertising to that actual audience.
Cool. What are your thoughts on banner ads using kind of more like website or blog specific banner ads as opposed to paid PPC kind of stuff? Do you still do that kind of thing?
Are you talking about like Google Display Network?
No, I guess what I'm talking about is, there's different ad networks out there like the Deck or Fusion Ads, and I'm sure there's many, many others that, they've got a list of websites that they run ads on, and, you essentially buy a week's campaign, or, there's different kinds of models, or it's per impression kind of advertising. Is that still a viable channel these days, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, banner ads still work. I mean, it's kind of the same tie-in with Google Display Network, other than, you're advertising on specific sites, and Google allows that too. But yeah, I mean, anywhere you can get in front of your target audience. If the traffic's there and the volume of traffic's there, I mean, you can make it work. I mean, I even see guys making it work with pay-per-view networks where they're basically adware.
So pay-per-view in terms of pay per impression, or do you mean something else?
Yeah, there's some PPV networks and stuff out there. I'm drawing a blank on a couple of the names. Lead Impact is one of them.
Okay.
Where basically people download different applications or software on their site for free, and in agreement of downloading that, they agree to be a part of this adware network, essentially. It's kind of a way, but there's ways to get it, and it's super, super cheap traffic, but it's tough to get it to convert, and you can buy a lot of it. So how it typically works is a company can go out and say, all right, I want to target people that are I want to target the people that are going to Proposify.biz. So I can actually go into Lead Impact or other networks and say, I want to bid on Proposify.biz, and it'll actually do a pop under to people in that network that are going to Proposify.biz.
Cool.
So it'll actually show a landing page on behalf of that. I haven't done a lot of that. I focus, or in recent months, I haven't done anything with that, but it's an option out there.
So I'd like to ask, what's, in your opinion, you obviously know a lot about paid advertising, but you talked earlier about how content is still, obviously, inbound marketing is very important. In your opinion, or I guess in your experience working with clients, do you usually kind of propose a balance between the two of inbound and using paid media to kind of complement those efforts? Or in some cases, if a client isn't ready for content or they can't produce it, do you just go with paid for them, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I typically like to go out and focus on paid channels to scale, because it's much easier to scale. Content is kind of just a supplement of that. And unless you're doing specific paid content channels like we talked about earlier, but I like to focus personally on the paid channels because it's much easier to control. You can't control how many views are going to be on your LinkedIn article.
Yeah.
I like to have some element of control.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the unicorns out there, I guess, like HubSpot and Kissmetrics that have, really taken inbound marketing and content to another level and used it as their main marketing channel. And I don't even know if they do any paid. They might, but so I guess from what I'm hearing you say, if I understand correct, is content's great, but it takes longer to see results, and the results aren't really guaranteed. You can make a takeoff, but it's not as controlled as using paid media.
Yeah, I personally agree to that, and that scalability and the control of it. So you don't know what Google is going to do next week, and it's much easier to adapt with a paid campaign than it is with, say, a full-blown SEO campaign or even a content-driven. There are guys that do it and do it well, and there are guys that focus primarily on SEO and things of that nature, but it's much harder if they change their algorithm or something changes. I mean, you can get wiped out. I was even talking with a company that was getting 6.5 million unique views a month through organic search alone. And they got the rug pulled out from under them. They were driving a lot of content. Google changed their algorithm and they got wiped out. I mean, they were getting like 600,000 unique visitors versus 6.5 million, literally within 2 weeks.
Was that when Google updated it so essentially inbound links and guest posts and stuff like that were considered not as relevant to their search algorithm?
Yeah, this is about 9 months to a year ago, I would say.
Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, these sites that had all, thousands or more, tens of thousands of links coming to them, Google essentially said if the link isn't really high quality, it's kind of spam, and it's not going to enhance your search, your results in the search engine display page, unless it's a high quality link, because people were just going and like trying to get as many links as they could, and Google sort of looks at it as spam now.
Yeah, the link spamming, and a lot of those companies and stuff were adding blog networks. They were building up their own blog networks and just kind of rotating links throughout. And it wasn't that this company was doing anything shady. They were actually trying to do it by the book. And I mean, they just got it wiped out completely.
Yeah, and you can't even always control who links to you. Sometimes you go and look and see it, and it's like these terrible websites are linking to you, and what do? Like reach out to them and go, hey, don't link to our site?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's tough to police.
Yeah.
I mean, internet's a big place.
What do you think of the upcoming change to Google? I think it's like maybe 10 days from now, from this recording anyway, April 10th, where mobile apparently is going to have a much bigger impact on organic search results, websites that aren't mobile optimized.
I think it's a good thing. So, I mean, the majority of traffic typically comes from mobile these days. And I've always been under the firm belief that we always optimize for mobile, and we pay attention to mobile, and everything we do is mobile responsive. So if we build you a landing page, it's going to be mobile responsive. So, I mean, I'm not really scrambling to try to figure out how to make sure everybody's mobile optimized.
Yeah. So you kind of future-proofed your landing pages already.
Yeah. I mean, even if they're not driving mobile traffic a lot, we still pay attention to it.
Well, I'll use us as an example. So our kind of marketing site for Proposify, we redesigned it a few months ago, and we didn't really bother with responsive just because more of a time factor than anything, and we didn't have a lot of traffic coming to our site from mobile anyway, so we didn't really bother. But you can believe now that we're kind of scrambling to get the site responsive, because it could hurt our search engine traffic, which is a huge driver for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would certainly work on getting that mobile responsive.
Yeah. So yeah, when you're talking to other mostly SaaS companies who are you doing this marketing work for, what are they like? What are people like us like as clients? You know what I mean? Do you find that it's easy to have these conversations with them? They're into it. They want to talk marketing, or do you find it's kind of like eyes glazing over? Yeah, just make something happen. Bring me customers.
It's more the eyes glazed over on the subscription side, not necessarily on the SaaS side. I mean, guys like you are they're pretty technical. They understand the game. And when they're more of a technical owner or, executive, it's a little easier to get them to understand exactly what you're doing and all of the steps in that process. And then they kind of stand out of your way.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Now, when you said that on the subscription side, it's different. When you say subscription businesses, what are you referring to?
Even the companies like the Birch Boxes of the world, the monthly box companies, or even into the supplement space, and different things like that, that they aren't really technical in the sense, they just know how they want it.
Right. Okay. So they're not software companies. They're delivering a physical product
More
on
e-commerce.
a subscription base.
Yeah. Or even the digital side. I mean, even if they're delivering digital subscriptions, they just don't necessarily understand what it takes. I mean, it's a lot of work putting together a software.
Yeah.
And those that understand that typically are easier to work with in a sense.
Yeah, I suppose if you're selling supplements on a monthly basis, you're probably, it's not really in your job description to keep up on, you know, Google's search algorithms and Facebook remarketing and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, in your opinion, if somebody's an agency, right, and they do and they sell marketing to their clients, you know, obviously you don't want to give away all your secrets to any local competitors or whatnot, but I mean, do you see any marketing activities that agency owners should be selling their clients on that they're not, or, you know, any ways to, you know, help other agency owners be more effective in the way that they pitch marketing to their clients?
Well, I'm kind of biased, but I'm kind of under the firm belief is you can't be everything to everyone. And I see a lot of agencies out there saying, oh, we can do this, 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 and this. And they give 25 different services that they offer. I mean, it's great to have options, but if you can narrow your focus down to your core strengths, we're finding it much easier. You know, we're an optimization company first, and we can also help with the traffic side of things, but we focus on getting more out of your traffic, and then we can help you scale that traffic. So we kind of lead with the optimization first. And I do see a lot of companies just not really having a strict focus.
I've seen that certain agencies, who shall remain nameless, that say we're a digital marketing agency, but then when you look at their work, it's pretty much TV ads. Maybe they threw them on YouTube or something, but you know, you ask them about conversion optimization or any of the stuff that you're talking about, and it's, you know, it goes over their heads. Like, should companies like that just, you know, if they're a branding advertising company, just say that, don't say you're digital? Like, what's your opinion on that?
If you're going to come out and say that you're a digital agency, you better be a digital agency, and your customers, your clients are going to see right through any guise. I mean, I try to be as transparent as humanly possible. I have nothing to hide. I've been like that my entire career. And if I can't do something, I'm going to tell you. So I don't try to say it just because it's a cool term.
Yeah.
And just because, I mean, I'm a digital agency, that sounds cooler than I'm going to put your ads on TV.
Yeah, better than I'm an analog agency. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, I need a rebrand. I want you to do my logo and, you know, come up with some cool video ads. Like, is that something where you just go, okay, I've got somebody else who can handle that, go to them? Or how would you handle those kind of requests?
Yeah, I usually pass them off to somebody else. But I mean, when it comes to the video advertising side, we can help there. But they already have to have, you know, some kind of results and some funnel in place before I'll help them. And I mean, if it's just branding and redesign, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And I even had a client come to me, or not a client, but a company come to me, you know, a week or two ago. And he's like, I have a traffic problem. I'm like, I got on the call and I'm like, no, you don't have a traffic problem. And really, truly, you don't have a conversion problem. And right now I can't help you. And I mean, everything he was doing, he had a fulfillment problem. So he had a problem on the internal side of his business. And he just couldn't fulfill the amount of traffic. He could scale it very easily, and his conversions were right in line to be able to scale. And I just helped him realize that. And he actually came back to me later and said, you know, a true professional that says, you know, you don't need me, you need X, Y, and Z. And he said, for that reason, I'll be back when I need their services.
Yeah.
So, just being that transparent, open, and honest. And if I can't help you, I'm not going to help you.
We've even
just for
done
the
that.
sake of bringing it in.
We've even done that with our product, right, Kyle? I mean, we send people sometimes, they're just looking for a basic, coding tool or something. We'll send them somewhere else.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes I think whatever business you're running, if you're trying to just grab every customer that comes in your door, if what you do isn't going to satisfy their needs, they're not going to be happy, and then they're going to tell other people. It's almost better they don't partake in your services or your product if you can't, there's no way that you can actually get any results for them or deliver value.
Yeah, and you got to know when to say no. And even though, you got payroll coming up, it's going to be a tough month or something like that, and it's easy to take on that client because they want to work with you, and you could potentially help them in some way, shape, or form, but it's not core to your true mission and your values as a company. Say no, because they're going to be a headache further down the road, and it might turn into something more when they're bigger.
Justin, this is our 9th podcast, and I have to say that's the one consistent that everybody says, probably in every podcast. Stay focused on vertical, stay focused on your core expertise.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it seems to be the common trait amongst successful agencies for sure.
Yeah.
Is knowing what value you provide and not trying to be all things to all.
Yeah, and there was a point where I would have taken on, and I did take on every and any customer, but it just ended up being sleepless nights and headaches working through it, scope creep, all sorts of different stuff. And, it's just not worth it at the end of the day. And I'm all about results. So if I'm not going to come out of the gate with a big bang and prove my worth, it's just not worth my time.
I was talking to a friend last night, and he's a marketer, and he talked about some clients want to come to him and they're like, I can afford 3 hours a month, but for you to work on my campaign, but they expect these insane results within the first 2 months after literally putting in 3 hours a month, and just he's like, I don't want to take those on anymore, but I still do sometimes just because it's still money, right? But that's always the hard balance. It's hard to say no to money,
especially in a small market like we're in here in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
there's only so much to go around.
Is it different in Austin? Do you find that there's a bit more what's the business community?
Well, it's very, very tech driven.
Yeah.
We've got companies like Dell, 3M, even Facebook and Google have offices here now.
What's the population of Austin?
With surrounding areas, I would guess, 2.5 million.
Yeah. That's definitely more of a place to do business, I would think, especially from the tech side, like you said. It's probably quite a bit easier to go out and find clients. Do you do a lot of local events or local networking, or do you pretty much just rely on web traffic to generate leads for your business?
Yeah, we really don't. I think in our entire history, I think we've only had 2 clients in Austin.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, where do you want to take Conversion Fanatics from here? What's kind of your plans for the future and for the rest of this year?
Well, we got some lofty goals.
Cool.
Some lofty ones, but yeah, we're just looking to our mission and our philosophy as a company is just be better than we were yesterday, and as long as we do that, we'll continue to grow.
Do you want to grow the team size?
Yeah. I'd potentially like to double it right now. We're kind of a virtual company right now, with our core team here in Austin, and then we've got some flex contractors plus some other team members that are outside of the Austin area. But yeah, I'd like to double it, and actually, we've been looking for office space and things like that to make it official. I work out of a small office, but my business partner, we kind of meet here once a week and don't really work out of the office every day. But
we actually have to do a similar thing. We've got an office here in Halifax, but we only come in maybe twice a week for meetings and to work in the same spot, but a lot of it's from home. It just seems to be the way the world of business is going these days, eh?
Yeah, we like the flexibility of it, as long as we stick with that philosophy of, I got it from one of my all-time favorite books, and that's The Slight Edge, The Philosophy of Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. It's a book by Greg Olson, I think is his name. I have the book laying around here somewhere.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
But yeah, it's the philosophy of Kaizen, which means continuous improvement, and that's just what we do, is what can we do for each one of our clients that was better than we did yesterday, and what can we do as a company that makes us better than we were yesterday.
Yeah. You have, is most of the team, are they all pretty much, strict marketers, or do you have like some designers, developers? Is it kind of spread out in terms of the skill set?
Yeah, designers, developers, our core team, we've got a media guy that has a strong copywriting background. And then we've got couple implementation managers that have some consulting as well as some info product driven experience.
Cool.
In the split testing world, and optimization, as well as really scaling out campaigns.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, Justin. Really, really cool, useful insights that I'm sure anybody listening who runs an agency, especially marketing on the marketing side, can really put into use. So, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
And
Sorry about the coughs a little bit, but allergies.
We're all hurting a little bit today. We'll have to, Kevin, you have to put in some like rock music in the background or something just to amp up the energy. We're all feeling under the weather.
We can do that. It's amazing what editing can do.
No, that's great though. It's awesome information, and you have yourself a great weekend.
All right, you guys too.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool. So Justin, he knows his stuff. He's a good guy.
Very good. An Austin boy.
Yeah.
We got to get down there to the South by Southwest.
It'd be a good time. Yeah, I think I apologize this week. We're really not drinking. We're kind of, Kevin's got insomnia. Justin was under the weather. I have shingles, believe it or not.
Wow, I'm surprised you admit that.
I know. I'm very open that way.
I heard you can catch it over the internet.
Yeah, apparently it's bad, a lot worse when you're older. So if you had it, it would just be a nightmare.
You're gonna go there, you douchebag.
Yeah, so we're a little lower energy this week. We promise next week we're gonna ramp it up. We're gonna be more. We're gonna be drunker. Yeah,
we have to.
Yeah, energy
more
and
creative.
Drunkenness just seem to go hand in hand. So anyway, hopefully you got some good insights, and people are staring at us now as we record this podcast in the library. But it's okay. We can deal with it.
Bit distracting.
I have a joke I would like to tell.
Excellent. Let's hope it's better than the last one.
Oh, I thought it was a pretty good one. I don't think you. I think you just lost interest halfway through.
I think I'm jealous because my jokes suck.
Well, they're Rodney jokes. I mean, hey, Rodney's the king of comedy.
So are you saying that you wrote these yourself?
No.
Okay.
These are just internet jokes.
Awesome.
Okay, this one's shorter. Not as much of a build-up, so let's go to it.
All right.
A recent article in the Daily Post reported that a man, Dave Harper, has sued St. Paul's Hospital, saying that after his wife had surgery, she lost all interest in sex. A hospital spokesperson replied, "Mrs. Harper was admitted for cataract surgery. All we did was correct her eyesight."
Okay, that's good.
You like that?
Yeah, it's cute.
Is that case spring approved?
Yes, that gets my approval.
Excellent. All right, well, hopefully you guys like that. And I think we'll sign out for now from the library.
See you later.
Have a good week. Bye.